I grew up believing in the American democratic process. You know, if somebody wants to put something up to a vote, then everybody gets together and decides as a community whether or not certain things should be done, and if so, how they should be paid for, how much taxes, et cetera, et cetera. I grew up believing that, not because it was right or because, it made sense, but because that's just the way things were. As I've grown older, I've begun questioning an awful lot of these things. For instance, what gives anyone else the right to decide whether or not I'm going to pay for something that they want? We're having service area elections here in the Fairbanks area, and it doesn't affect me because I live inside the city of Fairbanks proper, which means I get taxed for the roads and the garbage collection. Actually, I pay for that on top of it. Everything I get taxed for, whether I want it or not, because I live inside the city of Fairbanks limits, and it's generally considered that if I didn't like it, I should move out of the Fairbanks area. However, in these service areas, these are people who have already moved out of the city of Fairbanks, but they're inside the borough, and some of their neighbors, well, they want roads maintained, but they don't want to pay the cost of maintaining the road all by themselves. So what they do is they say, well, we think that our neighbors should pay. And so they go and they get these things put up for a vote. And if enough people show up and say, yeah, I think we should all pay, then even if a person votes no or is, basically overruled that way or doesn't show up to vote, well, guess what? They're going to get taxed whether or not they wanted it. Even if they don't want it, they're still going to get taxed if enough of their neighbors decide that they want to tax them for that road. Now, I have a friend who lives on a private road. And what happens on that private road, since they don't have the tax ability to go out and make their neighbors pay, is that they basically just maintain the road. And they go around to some of their neighbors and say, hey, this is how much it costs. Would you mind chipping in? Some of the neighbors do. Some of the neighbors don't. But you know what? There are some of the neighbors, even in a situation where people are getting taxed, who don't pay in. They just don't. People find a way to get out of it. People get exceptions, exemptions, and discounts, and all of these other ways of not paying their fair share. For those of you who can't see me, when I get those little air quotes around fair share, what is a fair share anyway? What may be fair to you may not be fair to me. How much you use the road versus how much I use the road versus whether anybody in their right mind is going to pay for a section of road that they're not using anyway. This is something that I'm thinking about. See, when we're having these elections, really what it comes down to is not how much you're willing to pay for a particular service. It's how much you want your neighbor to pay for the service that you want to enjoy. And I think it needs to stop. I just want to throw that out there. If you want something but you don't want to pay for it, you don't want it badly enough. That's my 2 cents. Love to hear you and engage me on that. Send me an email, steve@radiofreespeech.com. And, of course, if you become a subscriber, I email my 30-minute version of the news every single day to all of my subscribers. Thank you.